Welcome to From the Pastor's Heart. I'm Pastor Patrick, and today on From the Pastor's Heart, you'll be hearing from Pastor Paul Gay, our executive pastor, as he shares straight from the heart.
And they had the students there from this school and from the Toka school, and also from the Light of Hope school that is there that they're trying to get started. It's a school for older children and even adults, trying to teach them how to read and how to do math. And so they were all gathered together. There was probably about 100 people here on this compound, and we were able to preach to them. And I was trying to do a summation. It wasn't my best preaching method that I've ever done, and I was perplexed about how do you present a message to people when you don't really understand their biblical knowledge. You don't know how much they know or what they don't know. And so I basically was doing the 7 C's of Genesis, of answers in Genesis, that started with creation and then, of course, corruption and how sin. And I explained to them that God created the earth. He created Guatemala and the people in Guatemala perfect. In the very creation, He created Adam perfect. He created everything perfectly. And He looked at it and said, it is good. But then sin came in and corrupted everything. And so I wanted to do that so they would have a concept of why we need to be saved. If people don't understand the construct of sin, they don't understand they need to be saved. So as we went through that, and it was kind of clunky for me, and it was very hot, I was having to speak through an interpreter. And I've done that before in Indonesia, and so I knew a little bit about that, but it is still extremely difficult. We use words in our English language every day. Like consummation, we might understand what that means, but they have no translatable word for that. So many times I would say something, and my translator, who'd done a wonderful job, he is a pastor of some of the churches there, and he has some physical issues with his knee, and he did a wonderful job of translating from my English into their Spanish. But there were some words that what I would say, and he didn't have a translatable word for it, and so I would have to scramble in my little brain and try to find another similar word, a synonym for that he would have a translatable word for. So that makes preaching clunky. You have to say something and you wait, you say something, you wait, you say something and you wait. And sometimes the emphasis that you're putting into the message doesn't really reach out to the people like it does when you're able just to talk spontaneously. But Brother Pastor Juan, he did a wonderful job in that when I would emphasize a word or I would, shout out something, he would do it in the same intensity. So he's trying to give them that same intensity of the message. And he did a wonderful job. And some of that is what they have to deal with, and we have to deal with when English-speaking people go to foreign countries and we don't really know their languages. Thankfully, Mike and Mary Bruce speak both English and Spanish fluently now, and other missionaries that are learning to take on and being mentored by them are also in the process of learning Spanish better so that they can eliminate this communication barrier. And you remember where the communication barrier come from, right? The Tower of Babel. When men got so high-minded, they were all speaking the same language. They were going to build a tower into the heavens, and God said, if we don't do something, nothing will stop them. And so the Lord confused all the languages of the world, and that forced everybody to do what He told them to do, which was spread out on the earth and replenish the earth. And so that Tower of Babel instant is stuff that we're still dealing with today when we go to the mission field because we have a language barrier. So if you have an opportunity to learn Spanish or another language with the possibility of going into another country someday, I would tell you to avail yourself of that. I think it'd be very profitable. Carlitos, which was Pastor Carlos, he's the director of the Toka School. His son is fluent in 2 languages, English and Spanish, and so he was able to interpret for us during the day there many, many times. So that was a moving experience, and at the end of it, what I really wanted to present was the opportunity for people to be saved, and that it was as simple as whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. And so we made that point that it's really that simple. We don't need to make it complex and make it seem more difficult than it really is for people to come forward and confess their sins to Jesus Christ and call upon His name, and they'll be saved. And so it was a blessing to see one young man come forward. At first, no one was coming forward. As preachers, that's discouraging sometimes, because we almost always have people in a congregation or a group that probably need to be saved. But I did speak about how it took people of courage, people to be courageous, an individual to be strong and courageous and to be brave, because sometimes it's intimidating to come forward when your peers are sitting all around you. And to do that, to overcome that, it takes true bravery and true courageous acts. And so this one young man finally came forward to be prayed for to accept the Lord. And as soon as he did, 3 other young ladies came forward to be saved. And so that was so heartwarming for us. And it's a day that the Bible says the angels in heaven rejoice when a lost person comes to the knowledge of Jesus Christ. And so the angels were rejoicing that day. We were rejoicing that day. And God truly blessed in that service. We had a wonderful lunch that they had prepared for us there on the grounds that day. So it was a great day of dedication, not only of that property that the Lord had provided them for a new school, but also for these 4 souls that came to the knowledge of Jesus Christ. That in itself makes the mission trip worthwhile. That makes it rewarding to you to take and go to all the trouble and packing and traveling and dealing with the heat and not having things we're accustomed to having. You make sacrifices like that when you go to the mission field, even on a short-term mission trip. But it's worth it when you see the smiles in those children's faces and you feel their hugs and the love that they shower you with, and that you see souls being touched, people being saved, people being healed as you pray for them on these mission trips. We had an opportunity to go also and work in a nursing home that is nothing like what we have in the United States. It's in terrible, dire conditions. And we were able to help paint some walls to spruce it up a little bit for them. We helped work on a well for they would have good drinking water. So some of our men worked very hard on that. We held a VBS while we were there, a vacation Bible school, a one-day Bible school. And so we had lots of opportunities to minister and to be ministered to by the people there in Guatemala and the children as well.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of From the Pastor's Heart. Pastor Paul has been sharing with us about his recent mission trip to Guatemala. Join us next week as he continues to share from the Pastor's Heart.